live in a bubble where you never have a boss, you never understand the dynamics of a business, you can never be a boss.
The most connected man in Washington, D.C.
People getting the jobs have gotten it before the interview started.
Absolutely.
The people in positions of authority or power should look at you and see and respect what you're capable of.
Absolutely. Developer, CEO, and a champion for addressing housing affordability.
Is the difference between someone who has built an okay business and a wildly successful business. It's the person who's been relentless and not afraid to step up when the opportunity shines.
A true DC native and has had a unique perspective on how DC has transformed over the years. When Marcus calls, you answer. Marcus, thank you so much for coming on the show and coming on Hustler's Journey. We want you to tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into the real estate industry.
Well, thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
Excited to be a part of this Hustler's Journey. I'm a DC native. I'm the fifth of 8 children in my family.
Wow.
Growing up in the city, I loved being in Washington, not just because I could experience what happens in town, but in the region, and with a city that has 3 airports.
Yeah.
And my mother being from Dakar, Senegal, I've been able to go to the continent, especially West Africa growing up, in Europe, which gave me a good perspective on the world at large. My first professional ambition was to be an attorney. Washington has more attorneys per capita than anywhere else in the world. And like I'm sure you've heard, when you ask a lawyer, should you be a lawyer when you grow up, what do they say?
Absolutely not.
They say no.
Yeah.
So I had to start to think more creatively about what I wanted to do with my life. And a friend's father had been working in real estate development. He was transforming a community, and that's what sparked my first, bit of intellectual interest in this industry. And through high school, going to college, internships, and then jobs, that has led me to the path of seeing what real estate development can do to transform communities, but also to change the urban fabric and urban context. So that's been where I started, coming from DC, and the perspective that got me to ultimately wanting to be a developer and make a career of it.
I love it. Absolutely. So tell me a little bit about the impact that Ownerific has on home ownership, the benefits, and how it helps companies offer this to their employees.
So we looked at the landscape of what companies are offering relative to what they're experiencing.
Okay.
They need to recruit better. They need to retain better. They need to relocate people. And to do so, you have to offer a full complement of benefits that address real world issues. So everyone talks about healthcare benefits. Some people talk about tuition reimbursement benefits. But when it comes to housing, which is most people's biggest expense, there's a huge missing gap there. So that's the lane that we're driving in, that thankfully for us, not many people are in, but I hope that more people get in, and I hope we get to scale, being first and being the best, that we can help, cover that blind spot for a lot of companies that need community-centric workforces, whether they be grocery stores, department stores, city, state, county governments. You want your people near where they're working, and they can't get away from having to be there. If you're a police officer, firefighter, teacher, those jobs ain't going remote.
No, absolutely not.
So we're hoping to, address and solve the problems that they're facing.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love it. And I can't wait to see how, Ownerific is going to play a huge role, not just in the DMV market, but just nationwide.
Thank you.
And, be able to partner with you within the real estate brokerage side of the world and see how that'll work out. So that's amazing.
Thank you.
You've worked for some major real estate development companies. How have those experiences shaped your perspective on the industry today?
Yeah, I think everybody when they're young should work for big and small companies, but especially big companies. I think it gives you good perspective on yourself and how you can contribute to an enterprise in a very specific role in a very large context. So I'll just say, if you live in a bubble where you never have a boss, so to speak, or you never understand the dynamics of a business, you can never be a boss. and you can never contribute positively to making a company great.
Yeah.
When you're a small person at a big company, you really start to understand, one, what makes this role excellent?
Yeah.
How can I stand out in a crowd of a lot of people? And then you push yourself to develop to a point that you either, some people stay stagnant and they say, this is my job, this is all I need to do. But some people, it's the effect of, all the executives that have worked at McDonald's.
Yeah.
They've worked on the ground level at the most entry level of jobs.
Absolutely.
But that helps them build the skills of understanding, if I'm going to run a business of this size and scale, I need to know what that guy's doing.
Yeah.
And every step
Every level.
in between.
Absolutely.
Because if I'm going to be a good chief executive, I joke about it now, but at a small company, if you're CEO, you're also CFO. You're also, even if you have a COO, you're partially COO.
Yeah.
And you're head of HR.
Yep.
And you're, managing accounting and taxes.
Yep.
And it's like every level of this business, early in your career, you should really brush up on understanding what everyone does and respecting every part of it.
Yep.
It's so hard to do human resources. I know in a big firm where you kind of think of like some parts of the business make money, some parts of the business spend money. All of them are important.
Absolutely.
Especially when you get to the C-suite level. So I'm thankful to have worked for some firms that have taught me how to build financial models, build consensus, build community, work with, like I said, the contractor, the architect,
Everyone in
the lawyer, the engineers, the politicians, the community. You need all of those pieces. And, I think in working for bigger firms for 10 years, they gave me the tools now that I can do what my bosses were doing.
Yeah. And I think that's a very hot take. And I really like that you pointed that out, because there's this idea of everyone wanting to be their own boss now.
Right.
Like, no one wants to work at a JLL or CBRE because they want to be their own boss. They want to run things. But that's a huge, huge take of when you were young, when you're getting started. It's great to have those experiences, see how they're run. I mean, they're multi-billion-dollar companies, so why not start there?
Right. You got to take from the example of like, look, this business has been around longer than any of us have been alive.
Absolutely.
It's been successful for a reason, and that's because they have a structure that works, right? Learn from it, be a part of it, do the most insignificant of insignificant jobs, or what you perceive to be insignificant, because at some level, if you have aspirations to run a business, you have to understand and appreciate, and you'll appreciate it when you got to hire for those jobs.
Absolutely.
When you have to manage people on those jobs, or managing the people doing those jobs. And when you see your P&L statements and understand how much it's costing you in your business, you got to make sure that you appreciate and have a good way to solve the issues they're facing to make all those roles as efficient as possible. And it's starting to happen. I think we all got to be concerned with AI and
Absolutely.
how it could, on some level, make some jobs really irrelevant. And there's going to be some obsolescence of roles. Or even, we talked about the mighty lawyers.
Yeah.
I can draft really strong legal agreements and exchange it between parties where that would have been like $1,800
easily
out of a lawyer.
Easily.
Maybe I can do GPT-4, the first draft of it, and then lower that cost to $300 to the attorney.
Yep.
I mean, that's like save myself $1,500 there.
A lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. I mean, I saw a video the other day that ChatGPT took the entire LSAT and got one of the highest scores.
There you go. I mean, I've literally done that.
Yeah.
And I'm fascinated by the ability for all of us to start to save money and like find real opportunities to leverage this technology. So you got to understand all these roles, because some of them might not be around.
Oh, absolutely.
Or might not pay as much in the future.
Absolutely.
So if you have a good appreciation across the board, I'm telling you, man, some of the like insignificant or service level work is going to be the most important work.
I agree.
Because that stuff you can't get rid of.
No, you need that hands-on labor, absolutely. And AI, ChatGPT, all that, you either learn how to adapt and work with it, or we could watch it just take over. So definitely something to keep an eye out on. We talked a little bit about what you said, getting into the business, what you need to do. Tell me what, in your opinion, Marcus, makes a good entrepreneur.
Yeah. I think it's a complex answer, but I'll give you a simple answer to start, and then we'll get into the levels and layers of complexity. To boil it down to one word, I'd say it's relentlessness. I'd probably have to add courage as well. Okay. When I think about what is the difference between someone who, has built an okay business and a wildly successful business, it's the person who's been relentless and not afraid to step up when the opportunity shines. There's I don't know if you've kept up with a lot of people who've emerged through the pandemic in both social media, but also, LinkedIn and Twitter. But there's a guy named Sahil Bloom.
Okay.
Played baseball at Stanford, worked for venture capital firms, was doing really well in this venture capital private equity space. But some advice that he recently, dawned on the person sitting across from him was that networking expands the surface area of your luck. And that's something that I am profoundly a believer of.
Say that one more time.
Networking expands the surface area of your luck.
Absolutely.
So if you only have, call it, this much luck available to you, if you're not well networked, you'll have this much luck available to you, right? Because part of life is right place, right time, being lucky. Part of it's being really proficient, really good, and really hardworking. So, the relentlessness really refers to young people never giving up, always having energy, getting knocked down 3 times, getting up 4, but also being very intentional about where you're utilizing your energy, right? We all got 24 hours. If I'm very intentionally focused on being a leader in the world of, call it commercial real estate, and I plot out, okay, Monday I'm going to a ULI event. Tuesday I'm going to a Chamber of Commerce event. Wednesday I'm going to a Building Industry Association event. By laying this out, making sure that all the right people who you want to be like and take the roles of in the future, which is inevitable because we all have a,
set time,
set amount of time that we're going to be, cranking it out, working hard, building in our business and respective areas. And then, other people sunset into other parts of their lives. The person who does that and is very disciplined versus the person who's just going to kick it at a happy hour, hang out with their friends, they're expanding their surface area of luck.
Absolutely.
They're in the right rooms with the people that are doing the things they want to do. So that's the kind of relentlessness you need to know that, hey, you want to have fun? Sure. But at a certain level, you're jeopardizing your ability to be your best self. The 100%. Relentless people that are very focused, that are very disciplined, intentional about the networking they're doing
100%.
are going to get ahead.
There's no way that you have a packed schedule day after day, meeting the right people, and eventually that it doesn't pay off.
Correct.
100%. You talked about a couple of things that I want to touch on. You talked about the pandemic and the growth that a lot of companies or individuals have had on social media, but in business. But I want to talk about the power of media, podcasts, Instagrams, TikToks, how that's changed the world, and your take on the importance of content and being online, having an online brand, having an online resume. How important is that in today's world?
I think I'm 12 years older than you.
Yeah.
Which, we maybe today seem like we're similar on some level in terms of socialization, but we're also very different.
Yeah.
In some ways that you maybe don't appreciate yet.
Yeah.
But when you're sitting here in 12 years, you're going to be like, wow, one, the world has changed.
Absolutely.
Two, I didn't realize all this other stuff. And part of that is you may think TV's big, but when I was growing up, TV was everything. Obviously, social media did not exist.
No.
Like literally.
Yeah.
I was a junior in high school when they opened up Facebook. It was pretty insignificant even then, right?
Yeah.
It was just put up photos from like kicking it at the beach house with your boys over the summer. Today, if you're in television, if you don't have social media,
you're done.
You're irrelevant. The impressions the digital media gets on, my dad sent me a link from Instagram yesterday that was like a Harry Belafonte tribute. And I was like, Dad, what are you doing on Instagram?
Yeah.
I mean, it has really had a level of adoption across society.
Absolutely.
In a way that is transformative.
Yeah.
So whereas the only way you got the news when I was growing up
Was through TV.
was through TV, like literally when I was your age, there was not news through social media.
Wow.
Like CNN had a website,
Yeah.
but quite literally you had to go to CNN
To watch the news.
So the CNN personalities were who got all the impressions and the views. There's a whole economy and world of people that have never been on television that are wildly successful, wildly popular, that could sell out stadiums. They've never been on television.
Just social media, just Instagram account.
I was at the White House Correspondents' Dinner pre-parties last night.
Okay.
And with a lot of television personalities that we see, some of whom I've never seen. They're with major networks.
Yep.
They cover national issues that are of the highest level of importance.
Yeah.
I had no idea who they were.
Nope.
And some of the conversation with the folks I do know was like, if your social media ain't popping,
No.
you're just not going to be known among
The relevance goes
like
down a lot.
the common people. I mean, even think about your experience watching TV.
Yeah.
What do you watch TV for?
Entertainment.
I watch basketball games,
Yep.
football games, UFC and boxing matches, and then like select shows because friends tell me this is a really good show.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
I don't sit back and just throw on
see what's
CNN
on
for an
today.
hour.
No.
Doesn't happen. But that used to be the norm. Like me growing up,
Every morning.
that was like the goal if you wanted to be on TV.
Yeah.
Not the case anymore. So social media is the leading impression maker across society,
Yeah.
especially, the under 40s. So it's only going to continue to be the case as we become
Absolutely.
the largest demographic group in the country.
There's a quote that I heard from someone that I mention all the time. It's before, if you don't have a website, you don't have a business. Today, it's if you don't have a social media presence, you don't have a business. And I think that's huge.
Very true.
And the impact that you can have, again, selling out shows, selling out product. I get a lot of my news from social media.
That's what I'm
so
saying. It
it's
literally
like,
didn't
yeah.
exist when I was your age.
Yeah.
That's, for me, wild to even think
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
And now it's the predominant way. I mean, you scroll through Twitter. Because of who I follow, have curated the stuff that I want to know about the world.
Yep.
I'm going to find out about
Absolutely.
by doing that scroll.
Absolutely. And you get it at your fingertips. You don't have to be home on a 60-inch flat screen TV.
Right.
So the travel of information has just gotten so much faster and quicker, and it's right at our fingertips.
And you can curate it to what you want to know. Like,
Exactly.
you turn on TV, it's like firefighter saved a cat from a
Yeah.
tree, and this guy started a food truck.
Yeah.
Like,
To
I
completely.
don't care.
Yeah.
I mean,
Cool.
not to be rude,
Yeah.
but like the content that I want
Yeah.
is at my fingertips.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, just having a social media account, especially if you're any type of entrepreneur business, it's your reputation, it's your brand, it's your
Right.
resume without you being there. It's your interview without you actually interviewing.
I mean, you know it as well as I do. The top, someone are between your age and my age. What are the top two things they do when they meet someone and they want to learn more about them?
What's your Instagram?
The second one,
Maybe LinkedIn. Maybe that.
I was gonna say, yeah, LinkedIn is true, but like you just Google them,
Yeah.
see what links pop up.
Absolutely.
That's probably like those things are gonna be the greatest representation of what you think this person's about.
Absolutely. I mean, when you're hiring someone, and I saw a couple people doing this, first thing you do is check on, their social media accounts. Just pop in their name, see what pops up.
For my company, I've been applying to these accelerator programs. They want all your social media.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So no,
I presume if you didn't give it, they'd probably look it up.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Easily. So yeah, I mean, this is a sign that for anyone that's watching, invest in your online resume, in your brand, because it will pay dividends over the long term. And even if you don't see quick return on it, it's definitely something that every business and every entrepreneur has to do.
I mean, beyond that, I'd say that there's like a real case for everyone sitting down and being very tailored, intentional, and curated about, understanding that this is your professional representation.
Yeah.
And if someone looks at this, they see that you like to have fun, that's what they're going to think you're about.
Yep.
If they see that you're, doing cool, interesting, creative, fun things, that's what they'll think you're about. They think, I don't think there's a case for making your Instagram like your LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Like they're just totally different platforms. But I think that
There should be a certain level.
you just got to understand you're going to be judged on it.
Absolutely.
And, whether you're public or private,
Yeah.
one, people can see you're private. If they see they have mutuals, like you just got to be careful about managing your brand.
Absolutely.
And social media is a key part of your brand.
Absolutely. No, I love it. And we talked about, being in the right rooms and having a network and how your network can essentially just expand your level of luck.
Right.
Just by knowing you or by knowing him or by knowing Luis, I can have more opportunities because of the networking I have with you or whoever. And I just want you to touch on, the power of the networking and the people that you guys have built within the DC community. We were just at a Young Real Estate Network event with Chris Mifume, developer, and Mo. And it was packed. It was a room that was packed. It was actually people that
We didn't even promote it,
promote
which
it.
is wild.
Yeah.
One thing that I've been very intentional about, and I kind of described it earlier, and my strategy for earlier in my career was, if I want to be a leader in this business, I want to be in the right rooms
Absolutely.
on a consistent basis.
Yes.
So that I become a recognizable face, but also respected, that I'm knowledgeable. Beyond that I have something to give you.
Absolutely.
I've never gotten a job that I've truly had to interview for. Every job I've worked has been a C-suite exec or higher level person saying, we really want you here because they answered the question before I could.
Absolutely.
Because fill in how to build financial models. Walking in, any interview beyond that was like, I want you to meet the other people at the company so they know why I see what I see in you and why you need to be here.
Absolutely.
So
goes back to that brand and that reputation that you've already built. So when you got in the rooms and when you get in these rooms, it's more of Marcus is here. How can he help us, or how can we bring him on board versus interviewing Marcus?
Right. If I'll say this, if you got an interview and it's a desirable job, ain't a good chance you're going to get it.
Yeah.
The people getting the jobs have gotten it before the interview started.
Absolutely.
Right? Like, you want to be in that position.
Absolutely.
So part of it is not just being networked or knowing people or shaking their hand. And this is something that a lot of people miss.
Yeah.
It's actually the people in positions of authority or power in the space should look at you and see and respect what you're capable of.
Absolutely.
So putting yourself in that position where you're not just going to events asking, can you grab a coffee with me?
Yeah.
I want to learn. That's fine.
Yeah.
People are busy.
Yeah.
Like Bo, how many people you think are going to ask him for a meeting coming out of the event? I mean, everyone in that room wants to meet with the guy.
Absolutely.
You have to be willing to offer something.
Some sort. What's the value you bring?
And you got to do research.
Yep.
You got to know, like, how can I help this guy? What does he do? What does he need help with? You go to the website, he's probably hiring for roles.
Absolutely.
So for one, if you're coming to him and saying, hey, I see you're hiring for an associate on the development team.
Yep.
Well, I've been working in an analyst role for 3 years, and I think that I'm a suitable Then he wants to meet with you
Yeah.
because he's like, oh, we're actually hiring for that
Yeah.
role. You're solving a problem.
Yep.
Maybe, you're someone who's more senior and experienced. You're coming to him, don't just come and ask for money. Talk about, hey, this is a way we can partner.
Yeah.
I know you're trying to do more multifamily deals. Well, I got a 60 unit under contract. I need money, but then he wants to meet with you.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
putting your position not only that you're well networked, but you have a lot to offer is critically important.
I think something that you said to me a long time when we first met, I think maybe 2 years ago or so, and I still remember to this day, was, what can I do for you? You said, hey, Omar, like, we met, I asked you questions, and your question was, what can I do for you? So I feel like the network that you've built and the relationships that you have is because of the value you bring to others. You're always asking, what can I do for you? Who can I connect you with? And I think that's why over the past years, you have been known, Goodwin, as a bridge and a connector within the DC community because you're always looking to provide that value for the next person. And there's just a lot of value in
I
that.
appreciate that. And I try to be thoughtful about, no one wants to hang out with the guy who's always just asking,
Yeah.
hey, man, can you give me some tickets?
Yeah.
Hey, can you get me into this event? Hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, no one wants to be like close. You really ignore that person's text. Like, yo, can I get it? If you're my friend, I want to do everything to make you successful.
Absolutely.
Like I want you to be as rich as possible.
Yeah.
Like if you're I want you to be as happy as possible.
Absolutely.
Personally, professionally, all of that. But if you're just a taker, you're not the kind of person that I want to be.
Absolutely.
We have limited time. We have limited energy.
Absolutely.
So you have to be very thoughtful about who you use it with. And I always answer your texts and your calls.
Yep.
I don't answer everyone's texts and calls.
No,
Like
I can only
there
imagine.
are a lot of ignore people out there that
Yeah.
I'm like, look at the phone. I'm like, let's do it.
Yeah.
I don't know why I gave this person my number.
Yeah.
So we all have an experience for what our engagement and interaction with folks are.
Yep.
And then we kind of train ourselves to respond in a certain way, depending on our experience with people.
Yeah.
And, I think that that's something for someone coming up, building their own professional brand should be cognizant of.
Absolutely.
Your friends should always think, man, this person's always helping me, always positive, always thoughtful. And I'm not the most thoughtful person, but I'm trying to get better.
Absolutely.
I'm decently thoughtful, but
Absolutely.
there's room for improvement.
Absolutely.
And I think the relationships that I've done the best at maintaining and building and look forward to continuing to build are the ones that I've been very careful about how to manage and
Absolutely.
being as kind and giving as possible.
No, and I agree. And I think that's kind of the model that I've taken in the past too with, connecting with people that are way ahead of me, right? So I think something I want to touch on is advice that you have for young entrepreneurs or young individuals, whether they're in college, whether they're out of college. They want to get in the rooms with people like Bo. They want to connect with them, people at a higher level. What's the best way to do it? And like you said, I think for me too, the way I got into the real estate business, like I mentioned to you before, was I sent a cold email to the president and founder of the One Street Co. Santa Recreation. I said, hey, I am a college student. I know nothing about real estate, but I would love the chance to come and work for you for free.
Love that.
I'll do your social media. I'll grab you coffee, whatever it takes. I just want to be in the room with you and learn about real estate. So talk about the power of being able to network up by bringing value somehow.
I think you gave the perfect example. One is you admit, this is where I am, this is what I can do. But then you think about what your strengths are.
Yeah.
As a young person, you have so many strengths over someone who's 20 years ahead of you that you have to understand how to leverage and help them appreciate. You talked about social media.
Absolutely.
People who've been making millions of dollars for 10, 20, 30 years don't understand and appreciate the new things that are happening, but they do understand that they aren't going to be doing a social media account.
Yeah.
They know that.
Yeah.
If they've been successful, they appreciate that the world has been changing and they've been able to bend, adapt, and change which is what's kept them at the top.
Yep.
So if you can come talk about the ways in which the world are changing, the ways in which the new generation adds value, and think about what I did. I put on an event.
Yep.
He couldn't have put on that event.
No.
But I said, look, you got job postings. I'm going to email everyone who comes your job opportunities. So I'm going to help solve a problem for you.
Yep.
And now he thinks, okay, every time this guy calls me,
Yep.
if he wants my time, he's going to reciprocate in a real way.
Absolutely.
So that was my effort to reciprocate in a real way. I put on an event. I put out his job opportunities.
Yep.
And I hope he hires someone from our networking community that's a good person so that he thinks, you know, when I do have a real big ask of like, hey, let's work on this deal together. Hey, let's get some institutional equity together. It's going to be like, every time this guy calls me, it's good stuff.
Great opportunity.
So I know what my strengths are. I know what I'm capable of. And I try to deliver that to people. If you're new in the business, up and coming, if you're strong at social, if you're strong at marketing, if you see things that are happening amongst your generation that someone 20, 30 years ahead of you isn't hip to or attuned to, like you could bring a new artist, you can bring a new angle, view, perspective to the way that they're doing business. I guarantee you they'll appreciate it.
1,000%.
As long as you don't just sit there and say, teach
Grab
me
coffee.
everything.
Let me pick your brain. I think that's the most hated phrase now. Let me pick your brain.
I mean, I appreciate the people that ask.
Yeah.
You got to do a little more.
Yeah.
I mean, my LinkedIn inbox is crazy. Yeah. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah. Makes
you know,
sense.
I've got a pretty big like network of folks, and the people that break through are like offering something or solving a problem that I have.
Absolutely. Okay. So just switching gears a little bit about Ownerific. Just a little bit briefly, tell us what you're currently working on and what we can look forward to in the future for Ownerific.
Thank you. Yeah. The first vertical we're working on is helping people lower the cost of closing on purchasing a home by partnering with their employer to give them credits toward their closing costs.
Wow.
So the position that we're taking is that we're operating in the vertical of being a realtor. We're going to be digitally empowered, digitally first.
Yep.
And from understanding their employer, we have levels of insights that no realtor has across an organization.
Absolutely.
So the companies that we're working with, we're going to be very attuned to understanding their financial situation, how much they have saved, how much they can save, and provide that kind of feedback, as well as providing credits toward their closing to lower their closing costs. So we're creating our own housing benefits universe. That's the first product offering. Beyond that, we're getting into the mortgage vertical, the title vertical, inspection, moving, appliances, furniture, etc. You think about all of these different business verticals. However, there's no connection between them.
No.
There's no one regulating force. So we have been thoughtful about that home buying experience. There's, you know, what does the realtor say to you when you say you want to buy a home? Like, what's one of the first questions they ask?
You're pre-approved.
Exactly. That's a whole nother business. That's a whole nother.
Yep.
What do most people say?
Nope.
No.
They have no idea.
You don't learn this in school.
No.
You don't learn this from your family.
No.
You don't even know where to find a realtor. You know how often I see Facebook posts, Instagram story, anyone have a realtor they can refer in the XYZ area? It's very disjointed. And we're trying to pull some method to the madness of what is really the most significant transaction
Biggest transaction
in
someone-
most people's lives, both financially and like emotionally.
It's a lot.
And none of it's connected.
No.
I mean, like, day one, what do you need to do? You got to move in. You may have to do renovation.
Yep.
Like, there's so much that happens, and it's just madness. I mean, people have horror stories of like, you know, couples can go through a renovation, and that can pull them together because of the stress that pulls you
it'll
through,
pull them
or it'll rip you apart.
Absolutely.
So we're hoping to address some of those other business verticals that are related, but just aren't connected inherent. I mean, people, what do they do when they say, they're like, oh no, Omar, I'm not pre-approved. What do you say?
Let me connect you with a lender.
Exactly. It's like,
Yep.
it's so sad that it's such a disjointed experience that people have.
Absolutely.
And we need to pull these things together because it just makes sense.
Yeah.
You're going to achieve so much more efficiency and economies of scale.
Absolutely. There's, again, seeing this on a daily basis as a realtor on the ground in DC, there is no seamless process like this where
There's
someone
no
can
seamless
go
process.
to a company or a place or a person. Yes, maybe your realtor is like that bridge between all those pieces, but there's no specific place like Ownerific, where someone can go to and basically have a
I like the
seamless
confusion between ownership and ownerific. Like,
Yeah.
if people are going to mesh those
They
two
go
words
together.
together,
Yeah.
we're in a good place.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. So, I again, as a realtor, I definitely see the value in that. And again, like you said, the lending piece, right? That's one of the biggest pieces to it. Like,
Yep.
where's the money coming from? The furnitures, the home warranties, the insurance, the title. All of that is such a huge part in the home buying journey where it could either be one of the most stressful things you ever do, or it could be a seamless process that you guys are creating.
Insurance. I mean, like, you don't even know. Who knows how much insurance they need?
People don't even know they
No one
need
knows how
home
much insurance they need.
No.
They don't even know that they need it.
No.
If the lender didn't require it,
No.
most people probably wouldn't even go out and get a policy.
They'd be like, why would I pay an additional whatever, $100, $200 more a month?
Oh, I've made insurance work for me, so it can be very, very good for you if you know how to use it.
That's another thing people don't know.
Right.
We again, like you said, we're not taught these things in school. How to buy a house, how to get a mortgage,
Right.
how do I even pay my taxes? What's a write-off? How do I write off my interest
And
payments?
we can go into a whole nother rabbit hole talking about things you don't learn in school you should learn.
Oh, yeah.
But I think that we're coming into a reckoning coming out of COVID where university enrollment is down.
Yeah.
And people are starting to realize the life that they want to live, the passions they want to pursue, are not really aided by the current college system.
No.
And there have to be new ways to learn how to navigate all these things to get to where they want to be in life.
Yeah.
University, unfortunately, I think it's been a pretty stagnant model that hasn't evolved with the world.
No. And I think something that's key is high school. Like, not everyone's going to go to college. I think you knew that I used to be on the Baltimore County Board of Education, and one thing we really pushed on is getting you not just college ready, but career and life ready.
Right.
You should be able to know how to write a check when you come out of high school. You should know
Don't teach you that.
how to do the basic things of life when you come out. How do you apply
How to
for an
leverage
apartment? Credit. No one talks about credit, and that's probably one of the most important things that every person should know about.
Right.
People are like, I don't have a credit card. I pay everything in cash, and they're proud about it.
You're missing out on a lot of things that you could access with credit.
Yeah. So I completely agree. I mean, that's a whole other topic, is that education system and where it should be and where it's not.
Right.
So that's a huge piece of it. But just backtracking a little bit again, what are, I guess, some insights to build a successful team that you are currently doing, and, you know, a company culture, just for all the current, you know, entrepreneurs and business owners? Give us some insight on what you've seen working for you.
It's something that I'm evolving and learning. Certainly not an expert, but I think when it comes to hiring, which is something that, you know, I've had good experience with, thankfully. One piece of advice that someone gave me is that you want to hire people that would do the job for free in every role that you hire, right? You don't want anyone in that position who wouldn't do that job for free.
Yeah.
Their level of passion and excitement about the work that they do has to be at such a level that if you took their check away, and of course they didn't have the pains and stresses of managing their day-to-day life, that's work that they would still enjoy doing.
Absolutely.
And that's across every role. Like, I'm talking like you're running a restaurant, the person washing the dishes has to be the kind of person that enjoys being in that environment, contributing to that professional community, engaging in that process, that they would do it and show up if the money disappeared, right? So, like, on a conceptual level, you have to be able to identify that level of passion about what that role and what that person would do, not only by looking at the past, like that they've been doing this kind of role, but also projecting into the future that, hey, this is the path that this role puts you on.
Yeah.
Let's explore and understand that this is a right and good fit for you.
Absolutely. I love it. And again, it's not easy to have a startup, right? It's not easy to start a business, to run a business.
To go from nothing to something, 0 to 1, like Peter Thiel wrote,
Yeah.
it's tough because, one, there's a reason why it doesn't exist.
Yep.
But there should also be a reason why it should exist, right?
Sure.
You have to bridge the gap and convince people that the solution that you've created, the platform, is worth spending, X $1,000 or however much,
Yep.
or, if it's a consumer products, X number of dollars that you want to sell it for. So that journey is very difficult. But ultimately, when you see the product market fit and the validation from users, it feels incredible.
Best feeling in the world. Best feeling in the world. So I want you to talk about, if you were to go back 10 years from now, what things would you change about the journey that you've been on? Or what things you wouldn't change?
Oh, man, what would I change about my life the past 10 years?
Yeah.
I mean, certainly everyone's life is filled with mistakes, successes, failures. I don't know that I would change anything. I'm very content with my life. On a personal level, on a professional level. I have not done everything right. I have ignored advice at my detriment. I've ignored advice to my benefit, right? I've taken advice to my detriment, and I've taken advice to my detriment. So it's life, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate everything bad that's happened to me, everything good, everything that's gotten me down, everything that's lifted me up. The people that have sucked and drawn energy from me, money from me, the people that have given it to me, I accept and appreciate it all as
Absolutely.
part of the journey, and I'm learning.
Yeah.
So certainly I don't want to make the mistakes I've made again. I will make some, but the ones that I've already made that I can control whether I make or not, I don't want to make those again.
Yeah.
They've sucked. They have not been good to me in keeping me happy, but ultimately my life's great.
I love it.
Can't complain. Nothing's perfect. My life is nowhere near that, but it's great.
I love it. And J. Cole's song, gotta love your life, right? No life's better than yours. So I feel like every person should feel that way. And I know you recently just became a dad.
Yep.
Talk to us a little bit about that. How's fatherhood been?
Greatest journey in life.
Okay.
And I'll say that your partner, especially, the woman giving birth to the child, most important person in your life, because having a good partner, I'll just focus on the good side, can lift you up, relieve your stress, help balance the load of what you're taking on emotionally, financially, physically, all of that.
Absolutely.
So I feel very fortunate and blessed. My son's happy. He's healthy. He's 13 months. We have another kid on the way.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's
so
amazing.
thank you. We're going to have
Boy,
two
girl?
kids. A girl. So we'll have two kids under 2. And my son's the best thing that's ever happened. Well, I got to say my wife's the best thing that's ever happened to me. But he's the best thing that's ever happened to us. I'll say that.
I like that. I like that a lot. No,
And my wife's happy to be having a daughter. So
it's a perfect combo.
I mean, as Kobe said, job's not done yet. So, I don't know. Who knows?
I like it.
I'm from a big family.
I love it.
But yeah, no, that's the greatest journey ever, and I'm really happy about it.
So just to wrap this up and end it off, again, thank you so much, Marcus, for being on here. Before we end it off, the last question that we'd like to do on this show is, again, the hustler's journey, right? That's what we're talking about. Give us 3 entrepreneurs within the DC area that you would like to see on this episode, on this podcast.
Oh, that's a great question. There are a lot of people that I admire who've done well. You're talking about specifically in the real estate industry?
In any business, real, just anyone who you consider a hustler, and we can talk about their journey, and just you think that our viewers would benefit from having them on this show.
Well, the first one's going to be an obvious for you, and that's Chris Mfume.
Okay.
Brilliant guy, savvy, good demeanor, has incredibly high EQ and knows how to work with people. I'd say there's a woman who runs a company called Eden's.
Okay.
Her name's Jody McLean.
Jody McLean.
She moved to Washington from Columbia, South Carolina, where the company was based. They are the most significant, and in my view, transformative retail real estate developer that understands how to integrate well into communities. They built most of Union Market, especially the market itself, and catalyzed that growth in that area. The third, I would say, is Jair Lynch.
Okay.
Jair's a developer in Washington, brilliant guy who has been able to access institutional capital that really makes him unique. I mean, I feel bad even saying just three. I think there's so many more people.
Absolutely.
Jair also a Olympic silver medalist in gymnastics. I mean, really impressive person all around, and someone I look up to. So
I love it.
I could probably name 30 people.
Now, we'll start with those three, and then we'll move on from there.
Great.
Marcus, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on.
Episode. And
No, man, I appreciate it. Let's do it again.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, take care.